my God, Becky.
Can Miss Becky please raise her hand, bro?
You better call Becky with the good hair.
Yo, what's good? It's your girl, Becky the Pod. You are now tuning to episode 85, halfway through season 9. Okay, now I'm excited because season 10 is going to be lit. That's coming up. That's episode 100. Like, it's going to be in there. All right, get into today's episode. We have Cam Young. We met through, actually, a friend sent me his podcast, and this was when I started my podcast, and I don't know how we communicated. Do you know how? Do you remember how?
I don't know. I think I reached out and I think we DM'd each other and was like, hey, I like your show.
Yeah,
And
it's usually how it starts. It's like, hey, I like your show. You like my show. We should collab. But now, like, we're doing it. We're doing it now. Corona has allowed us to make it happen.
Coronavirus. Yep. Has allowed us to do this.
So you're a podcast host. You're a comedian. You're a mental health advocate, right? You have a podcast titled Real Positive. So tell my listeners about your podcast and what Real Positive is all about.
Yeah, so Real Positive, number one, I was scared as hell to even try to start this show because I knew nothing about the podcast life, but I was more in the radio world. I knew more about radio than I did podcasting because those are two different elements.
Right.
And everybody kept telling me to start a podcast show. So I linked up with someone and they helped me set it up. And I knew I wanted it to be about, but I was unsure how it was going to be perceived.
Okay.
So I called it Real Positive because I'm known for keeping it real and I'm known for being positive. So it is literally about my journey trying to stay positive in a world that can be so negative.
I think if I backtrack my words that I just said, did I just call your podcast Real Podcast when it's supposed to be Real Positive? So if I said that,
I don't even know.
Oh, no, you don't remember? Okay. Because I was like, did I just pronounce this podcast wrong after I'm listening? Like, you know how your words kind of just, no, it doesn't make sense. Okay.
You good? You good?
So I know you're on a break with your podcast.
Yeah.
When are you starting back up?
Very, very, very soon. I am not going to continue to lie to the people and delay albums like Kanye West. I'm going to, hopefully within the next month, I want to finish my last episode and then I'm going to start working on season 2. This time I want to have an actual co-host.
Nice.
Yeah.
So when you were doing it solo, did you notice like it was different from, I guess, watching other people who do have a co-host?
Yes. When you have a co-host, it's a lot more easier, or when you're just having guests.
Right.
When you have to carry a podcast by yourself, you feel like you're like LeBron James or Michael Jordan.
Right.
LeBron James.
People can relate to that.
Yeah, it's like you're trying to carry a whole segment of a show by yourself with no other content. That is, I mean, more power to the people that do it, but I ain't built for that. I need like somebody else to kind of mirror my energy. So I was like,
no. That's exactly what a co-host is supposed to do. It's supposed to, I would say some podcasts, it livens up the show. So are you doing interviews? Is it like a best friend? Is it a family member? How are you doing your co-host hunt?
Well, right now I'm looking for somebody that's crazy and out of control, like me. We can talk about different type of topics and things that I'm into. I'm a big nerd, so I want to have someone with a nerd kind of background as well. And as far as guests goes, I do want to start having guests. So season 2, I want to start having weekly guests on my show so that I can, you know what I mean? Because you're interviewing people, you're doing all these, and I'm like, I love the flow of your show, and I'm like, I know.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm like, I want a format for my show, so. Definitely would like to interview guests and have a nice little co-host.
I will say I learned a lot from my guests, and I learned a lot like over time just recording with other people and also doing it solo. It's a different energy at times. When I do a solo episode, I could tell that it's more serious, it's more personal. When I'm doing an episode with my guests, it's a little bit more about them, which is hard because it's like I got to make sure that we connect. That's one thing too, especially with right now, we're doing everything virtual, especially us doing this on Zoom. It's a little bit different. So, cause like usually like I'm able to, you know, have a conversation with my guests beforehand while I'm setting up my equipment. Right now it's just like, all right, equipment set up, get to it. But luckily for us, we've been talking way before this and supporting each other. And it makes, and I had a conversation yesterday. I was like, it's going to be easy having a conversation with you. It's not going to be awkward, which I've had moments where I thought it was going to be awkward. I was like, it felt perfect. But then I was like, oh yeah, this is going to be awkward.
Oh, no, you're good. No, and I'm glad that you touched on that, because when I'm carrying my podcast by myself, I feel awkward.
Yeah, you're like, am I talking to myself? Am I talking to the listeners? It's a different like who am I talking to really? Right? It's a question you ask. Right. I was like, So you have an organization you put together, right? The acronym is TBPE. Is that correct? So go ahead and give us like the meaning of it, how it came about, and then after that, we'll go into today's topic, which you already know what it is, but it's gonna shift to that. So keep that like a secret until then.
Oh, okay. So I'll tell you the small bones of it.
Right.
TBPE is an organization that I started. It stands for Taking Back Positive Energy. It symbolizes no matter what you're going through in your life, you can take back your happiness. So what I do is I travel, I go speak to different companies, I go speak to different universities, community colleges. So I'm talking to the youth, I'm talking to adults, and I'm talking to them about the power of positivity and what it can do for your mental and physical well-being. So if you go to my Instagram page, you'll see people holding up the TBPE sign, just signifying that they're against negativity. It's something that I'm incredibly passionate about. And I'm looking to take on a different level moving forward, because I have a lot of cool ideas on where I want to take this thing. So
leading into today's topic, I'm pretty sure you guys all saw my post already on Twitter and on Instagram, kind of like letting you guys know that this podcast episode will be a little bit sensitive, the topic, but it won't be all about it, right? So Cam here is a suicidal survivor, right? So we're going to talk about that. So today's topic is about you're a survivor. So to break the ice of everything, the first question I have for you is, I know being a suicide survivor, it's straightforward. People know what it means, et cetera, et cetera. But there's always an underlying meaning to it, right? So when you say you're a suicidal survivor, go ahead and tell my listeners to what that means, and we can go ahead and jump into it from there.
Yeah, so back when I was in high school, I want to say my senior year of high school, it was the roughest year of my life. I'm living with my pops. My mom and my sisters moved out here to Kansas City. I'm from Phoenix, Arizona, by the way.
Okay, I thought you were from Kansas, but then you're from Phoenix. Nah, so you've been lying to me.
I'm from Phoenix, Arizona, but I live in Kansas City. So I was out in high school out there. My senior year, I was known for being a class clown, known for being Mr. Positivity, but no one knew that I was sad, depressed, and suicidal. This stems from my father. My dad is just, he's just an evil person. To kind of give you a lens on that, I remember we and him had an argument in the kitchen my senior year. We're arguing back and forth. And I said, well, I'm just going to kill myself. And he told me, well, just leave us a note. So I'm just trying to give you a lens on what kind of person he was.
Right.
Didn't think I was going to graduate high school at all. Once I did, I shot out here to Kansas City to get away from that energy. But I didn't harness that right, because I'm still carrying pain, depression. I'm carrying suicidal thoughts. And then one day while I was out here, I decided I was going to kill myself. I put the day in, I put the time. I knew I was going to do it at night. And I knew what I wanted to do. And so the day came, and it was nighttime. I remember just like it was yesterday. And I went into my closet and I hung myself. Now, the only reason that I'm alive today is because one of the ropes broke and it dropped me to the ground. So from that, that's when I woke up the next morning. And I try to explain this to people, but I really can't, because it seems like the spirit that I had before then was removed out of my body and it was replaced with something positive. And since then, which is going on 12 years now, I have been all about positivity and just preaching the gospel of what it can do for your life and mental health.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, I thank you for sharing that. I know I don't know if you told that story a few times or if you went to details on it here, but it's a very tough fight, I guess, situation to like relive and also talk about. When people ask, when you tell people this, what is kind of usually their first reaction?
Shocked. Like, no, there's no way. Like, really? You, Mr. Positivity, like always laughing and like, what? That can't be real. Like, seriously. It was funny because, you know, in the Black community, there's a stigma against mental health. And one of my closest best friends in Phoenix, we had a real heart-to-heart discussion about this last year because he didn't know that it was that serious about how I tried to commit suicide. And I remember he was like, wow, I never knew that, man. Like, I didn't see those signs in you. Like, I didn't. And I was like, I was afraid to tell you. Because,
right.
You know, like I was supposed to have this stature of being strong, and all my friends are like that, like strong and like, you know, get through it, push through. But so I kept it to myself. So it was nice to kind of have that real open discussion with him. Like, no, man, I was hurting.
So after the fact, did anybody come to, I guess, rescue you or knew that it had happened? Or was it just kind of like something you woke up and you're like, damn, like I almost did it, but something wasn't meant to be at that time?
Yeah, I didn't tell anybody.
Okay.
I didn't tell anybody until I decided I wanted to go and publicly start speaking and telling my story. And when I started telling the story, and some of my homies and people would come with me like to these organizations and people where I'm speaking, they're like, you did what? Like, whoa, you tried to, oh my, like, really? And now a heart-to-heart moment is happening because they're like, I never knew, Cam. Like, why didn't you reach out? I'm like, I didn't know how to reach out. I grew up where if you cried, you were weak. If you showed emotion, you were weak. Like, that's the household that I grew up in. So I was used to just being, keeping things in, so.
And I know it's a little bit different when it comes down to gender too, right? So as a man who did it and you're going through it, or, you know, you're, I guess, telling your story and helping people be positive and whatnot and not go down that path that you went through. Do you think it's a different response as if it was, let's say, like a woman or a female who did it?
Yes and no. I have a lot of friends that deal with mental health, men and women, and I think the burden is all the same, but I can also see the double standard that women get towards men, like as far as men are supposed to be strong, right? We're supposed to be masculine. We're supposed to, you know, be able to get through it all. And if we show any signs of weakness, it's a feminine trait or it's a female trait, and I'm just here to tell, you know, anybody that's listening, kill that whole attitude, because being able to be vulnerable and actually let people in and talk about mental health is the most powerful thing that you can do as a human being. And I highly encourage everybody to do it, because if I didn't do it, who knows where I would be right now.
Right. So I know you said 12 years later, right?
Yeah.
You're out here talking to people, bringing the positive energy. So what is the process of your, what do you call it? Events? Would it be events, speeches? So like, how do you go? Like, how do you intro it in? What's the whole body of it? And how do you end off the whole event?
Well, wow, the people that have watched my speeches are probably like, what? So I'm about to drop some heat here.
Okay.
A presentation, a very, very detailed presentation, but I freestyle all of my presentations.
Okay.
Because I like to read the room. So I go in and I read the room, I read the energy, and I see what kind of audience am I having. And I go off of their energy, and that's when I speak. I'll put up the slides and I'll talk about stuff, but all of that is from me just freestyling how I feel. So sorry for everybody that has paid me money to go and speak. But,
Don't apologize. You have a story. You want to make an impact to your story. You want people to know that, you know, it's not, you don't always have to go down that path. They're not alone. So, I mean, hey, some people need it. You know, we all need something like that, right? We don't always know how to manage or where to go to for help when we have like issues in our life, because it's not frowned upon, but a lot of people do like, oh, you're having a relationship problem. That's the same old thing you always been through, or you lack self-confidence. Oh, well, you need to fix that, right? It's like you need to fix it right now type of ordeal. And it sometimes takes years. So like sometimes attending like motivational speeches or attending motivational events or just being around people who are just positive all the time, it makes people feel better, you know?
Oh yeah. Absolutely. And one touch on something right quick. I threw an event out in Phoenix a couple years ago. It was a free hugs event. It was a TBPE free hugs event. We were downtown.
I did see that. Hey,
yeah, that was
your battery. All right, sorry. Keep going.
No, you're good. No, it was fantastic. It was like a big group of us, and we just marched all around downtown. We had our signs, free hugs, and we went around and just spread positivity, gave hugs to people, no matter your race, creed, background. It was a really beautiful moment. That's one of like the highlights of my organization so far.
Well, I know you're not giving free hugs now during these times.
Nah.
Maybe some elbow taps.
Yeah, we giving elbow taps. We making sure we washing our hands and staying 6 feet away. We ain't playing no around here. Nah.
Yeah, apparently Texas is. I'm just kidding. But so I know during these times, like you're getting back on your podcast, Real Positive. So the first episode literally clearly states it's positive, but it's like the real deal positive. Like it's not like your whole, oh, everything is just sun brights and there's gummy bears dancing in the field. It's like real. It's like this is the real, like tough positive stuff, right?
Absolutely.
So have you had people come up to you and was like, man, like I appreciate your speech, I appreciate you coming out, I also appreciate that you're open and transparent about your story and willing to share it?
Yeah, messages all over my social media, my phone, but the most profound story was I gave a speech at this organization, and afterwards, you know, this girl came up to me and she had on a plaid shirt. You know, it was a long plaid shirt, long sleeves, and she came up to me and she was like, hey, I want to thank you for what you are doing right now. And she started rolling up her sleeves. She had all kind of cut marks. And she's saying, I'm a survivor myself. She's like, please keep doing what you're doing. Like your message means so much. So I've had a lot of those stories, and it's incredibly humbling. And it's really nice to know that people feel like they can reach out to me and talk about those things. But I do want to say I am not a professional.
Right.
I feel like I'm a professional to positivity. I'm not I don't have a degree in,
like you're not a therapist, right? You're not a certified
not
therapist.
a therapist. Right. But I will be there for you, and I will give you resources to get you help, because I'm a big advocate for therapy. So I'm going to tell y'all right now, if you're not in therapy, please get on it. Especially in the times we're in right now, they have virtual sessions. Get your mental health on, like get your help.
I know, the virtual sessions, have you actually done some of the virtual therapy sessions during these times?
Just did mine last week.
Okay. Is it a different sense of feel rather than having somebody literally 3 feet away from you talking to you, or in an office space? Is it different from how it is now because you're doing it on a laptop screen, right? Do you still have that connection? Are you still able to open up? Is it just a regular, like, I'm doing good, this is what it is, you know?
Right. It's a different element for sure, because I can be dropping some real sentimental heat on the therapist, and all of a sudden her screen may freeze. like, yo, are you still there? Wait, who am I talking to? And she'll be like, wait. So it is that element, but I think that this is going to be the future of therapy. They're going to allow this option because obviously COVID has pushed America and pushed the world to have to do things differently. So, I mean, I do think it is going to be convenient for people that are like homebodies and don't really like to go out and actually interact. But it is a different experience. I ain't gonna lie, but I do enjoy my sessions.
Yeah. I think as long as it's like going on still, right, and it's not stopping, right. I think you'll always have technology issues when it comes down to anything virtual, right?
Oh yeah.
You could be like in mid crying, sobbing, and your screen freezes, and your therapist like, "Are you still there?" It's that'll be like, well, at least it's a good like icebreaker of like, all right, I'm back to reality. Right. I'm okay. I'm alive. I'm good. Right. I don't know.
Right. I'm good.
As that tactic, who knows?
Yeah.
So with season 2 of your podcast, what do you have coming for the listeners? Do you have it themed already? Do you kind of have it planned out?
Yeah, I'm revamping everything. Maybe a new intro. The intro I have right now, I love. It's Dave Chappelle, and it's him talking about, you know, the most dangerous thing being Black in America is being an honest Black man in America. I love that intro. But yeah, I'm looking to revamp season 2, hopefully have a co-host, have guests coming in, have some different vibes going, some different music. I'm just looking to take things to a different level so it can be more interpersonal and people can get more of a sense of my personality. So I'm excited.
Your recent episode was about friends. I listened to it and I was like, I got some of those. I got some of those here. I've had some of those. So, I mean, so far your topics are great. Right on the spot, real, I can relate. So if you guys are listening, where can they find your podcast?
Yeah, it's on iTunes. I need to get it on other platforms like Spotify and other places, but it's on iTunes for sure. You just type in on the podcast section, because I think there's a podcast app for iPhones or whatever. Just type in Real Positive and you'll see a tall, skinny Black man with some yellow some yellow Vans.
I think a blue shirt too, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, my TBPE shirt here, and just go ahead and click and enjoy. I will say it is not for the brittle spirit. My podcast is really honest, and there's a lot of cursing, but there's a lot of pure joy within that show.
So I know you've already shared your story. Let's say somebody who's going through some things right now, especially during these times, right? Who kind of, they're okay behind the screen. They're okay in front of the screen, but behind it, they're really not. What are 3 things you could, advice you can give them for them to, I guess, not hit rock bottom? Because I know during these times, like, you know, kids are being homeschooled, kids are at home. There's lots of issues going on with families, and you can't really go out and escape like you used to, or school is not your escape anymore. What can you tell them, or even just anybody who is just down and out?
Yeah, so one thing I want to say is social media is not your validation. We often, our generation gets caught up in how many likes we're getting, how many retweets we're getting, how many people are commenting on our post. I can tell you right now, that does not value you as a human being, and you should never, ever let that value you. If you get one person that likes your post that whole week, be happy that one person liked your post. You touch a person's life that week, right? We get too caught up in how many likes we have. And then in general, I want to say this, that you have to know how to take control. You know, we are going to have some ups and downs in life. And I always tell people that you're writing your own book. Each of us have our own book right now. So some of us may be on chapter 10, some of us are on chapter 1, some of us are on chapter 3, but stop trying to look over and see what the other person is writing and just focus on writing your story. All of us have different stories. Focus on your story and you'll be good to go. So love yourself, take care of yourself, and treat people like human beings.
I do want to chime into the whole social media thing. I don't know I don't know if you noticed, but now there's a new trend going on where if you have a lot of followers, back then you were like worth something, right? Now, if you look into it now, people are posting memes or stories about if you have a lot of followers, it doesn't mean that they're doing anything like effective, right? So now that the tables have turned now, I think during these times, people are noticing that people who are serious about their craft, or people who just do it for show, or people who have 10 million followers, but they're really not doing much for the community. They're not doing much with their brand. They were just given money, or they have this income to just do whatever they want, right? So that's a new thing now I've noticed on social media, that's kind of like flipping. It's kind of like us being hypocrites, right? You know,
real talk.
We focus on our followers going up. We focus on our interactions. We focus on who shares it, right? We look at the stats. But now it's all about, you know, it doesn't matter if you have a lot of followers. It doesn't matter if you have this and that. It's more about interaction, communication, which is really important during these times, because all you can do is communicate with each other. And all you can do right now is virtually do it, because we aren't having sit downs anymore. If we are, it's limited. So social media right now it can be misleading. It's not something you should focus on, especially with a lot of media with no facts behind it. Even I am a victim of posting articles that I didn't read, but I saw the headline, and this article was posted like years ago. And I was like, so I stopped like doing that, because I was like, I don't know when this article was posted. Is this even real? So, I mean, check your facts, you guys. You guys know social media and the media is a very dangerous place sometimes to be, especially when we have idle minds and really aren't doing anything right now as much as we used to be. I will say though, listen to the podcasts. There are great podcasts out there. People are creating podcasts during these times, and taking their situations and making it positive, right? And then Cam, you know, might throw it out there. He might be doing virtual seminars, right?
Yeah. I was actually going to talk about that. Yeah, I am.
He's like, oh wait, how does she know? Like, she knows. Go ahead and tell them about your virtual seminar.
Yeah, so I'm going to look to start having some virtual one-on-one sessions, giving you guys some coaching abilities, opening up, giving some webinars about positivity, and some really cool tips that you guys can use to utilize in your day-to-day life, things that have helped me and have paid off for me tremendously. Now, I want to make it very clear, a brother like me is not perfect. I still make mistakes. I'm still learning myself. But one of the things I do hold dear to myself is my words of affirmation, and just trying to hold myself accountable. So allowing yourself to make mistakes, but also allowing yourself to rectify those mistakes. So yes, things will be coming here soon. So follow a brother to get more information. I
will say words of affirmation have been coming in clutch lately. Before, when I used to do my words of affirmation, it used to be a joke to me. But now, like, during these times, like, my mindset's different. Anything that was tomorrow is very uncertain. So no matter how many times you want to plan for the future, right now, it's really hard, because it might transition real quick, you know, and that messes with people's mental health, especially people who have a routine, have a certain way of doing things, right? It's also so easy for us to fall into like the dark side. I know even then, like, sometimes we feel like we're not doing enough because we're so used to being active, going to events, seeing people. And also I think during these times we're being frugal. So like, we want to support the next person and their business and whatnot, but it's hard because we're working paycheck after paycheck still. And just hearing the thought of, like, you know, you at a young age, you're so focused on retirement, you know, all this stuff, but then you see articles and people talking about, oh, by the time you hit retirement, you might not even have a retirement because people are going to pull out of it, et cetera, et cetera. So it's just crazy to think about that. And I know, like, a lot of people right now, like, they're depressed. They don't want to get out. It's hard, and they just feel worthless, you know. And I don't know of anybody personally, but I know possibly, you know, people have fallen into depression and is just, you know, not really themselves, and possibly, you know, going back to old tactics, right? And I know we're all out here going through it. But for people who are going through it, Cameron, give us a little bit of Cameron's words to bring light to any situation that is dark.
Yeah, so right now, since we are in COVID-19 or coronavirus, we are in some times that we haven't really experienced before. So we're spending a lot of alone times with ourselves, and we're not really able to really socialize like that. I know for me personally, I'm just gonna be real. Like I've kind of broken down a little bit like during this time, because I'm like, dang, I can't really go and do the things I really wanted to do. Like I may have had a trip planned to Phoenix, but the numbers out there in Arizona are crazy. I'm like, I'm not about to put my life at risk. So how are able to stay grounded right now when life seems like it's dark and we seem like we're not ever going to get out of this whole bubble that we're in? Read, educate yourself as much as you can, FaceTime your homies and friends, Zoom. Like I said, look up words of affirmations and look up some cool, positive things that put you in the mood, whether it's watching a positive movie, listening to some good upbeat music. This is a good time for you to work on some cooking skills. If I'm not the best cooker in the world, but shoot, if you know what I'm saying, like download a little app, to give you some basic cooking skills. And now you can start trying out little different recipes that you never tried before. Like this is the time to do stuff that you never got a chance to do. Like, why not just try it? Feel me?
So we're about to go into the freestyle section. Okay. I'm gonna give you a couple of minutes to think about it, but your first line is "to my old self," and your last line is "thank you."
To my old self.
So it can go as long as you want, but it has to end with "thank you."
Okay, I don't really need too much time to think about this.
Okay, he's a pro. He's like, I don't need too much time. Okay, so whenever you're ready, go ahead.
All right, so to my old self. When I was younger, I used to get hit with the belt. Trauma used to hurt me. I go to school and feel like people were gonna desert me. Where am I gonna be? When I went to high school, people used to bully me and tell me that I was never going to achieve. They would tell me that, why are you wearing those Chuck Tees? And I would say, hey, because I'm just trying to be me. And so now we're looking about a few years ago. Now everybody's trying to see, well, where did Cam go? Well, I've grown. And now the person that you used to try to knock down, that's the person you're trying to be. Now all I try to do is spread TBPE. Life is kind of crazy, causing mass hysteria. Got Black people getting killed in America. I can't even step out without feeling like my life is gone. And I walk by a concrete and I feel like, is this where I belong? 8 minutes and 46 seconds happened to George Floyd. And all I think about is, if I have a kid, will that be my little boy? I'm trying to understand life, and will it accept me for me? But America doesn't really seem like it wants to be true to me. I got sisters that I love. I got an older brother too. I got a mom that is beautiful and she'll do anything for you. So I ask you to be the realest person that you can be. And if you see wrong in the world, I ask you to be a human being. Thank you.
I like it. It was really good. No struggles. You made it look like it was easy.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you for doing that. Thank you for coming on the show.
Absolutely.
Go ahead and give them your social media, any way to contact you, any way they want to reach out to you. Go right ahead.
Yeah. So my Instagram is Cam TBPE. Let me make sure. Let me verify that right quick.
Yeah, sometimes I think it's this, but it's not this.
Yeah. It's Cam TBPE. Go follow me on Instagram. That's the main source, because I'm going to have everything on there. If you want to contact me via email, everything else. That is my main social media page. So follow me. Be on the lookout for the things I have coming. And I like to also, I am the person that will give random shout outs to the people that I follow. So I think Becky can attest to this. Like, I'll give you random shout outs and just show you love, because like, I just want everybody to feel like I appreciate them. And that's just positivity for me. So if you follow me, expect to get some random shout outs as well.
Yeah, he's giving me some shout outs and I'm like, oh, I didn't even ask. Thank you. But I really appreciate you coming on the show and me having you. And I'm glad we were able to make it happen. I'm hoping in the future, let's say 2021, we can do face-to-face. Either you come down here or I come see you. Either way. And maybe we can and throw you into an event where you bring in the positivity for like a little motivational speaking here. And we'll talk about it in 2021, you guys.
Yeah.
But thank you so much, Cameron. I just said your whole name, but it's okay.
It's okay. You said my whole government name. It's okay.
But all right, you guys, we are out.
Becky, we got the phone.
Yeah, tell Becky to pick up the phone.
Oh my God. Becky.
Can Miss Becky please raise her hand, bro?
You better call Becky with the good hair.